Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Welcome to the 13th installment of Creating with Window Envelopes. Every month I will be posting a new idea on how to create various junk journal elements using window envelopes that measure 8 5/8 by 3 5/8, but the majority of the ideas that I am sharing with you can be modified to fit different sized window envelopes that are in your stash. Today I will be sharing with you a flip up, flip down window envelope. It's kind of a modification on, I believe episode 10, we just did kind of a flip up, and this time I went ahead and added a flip down also onto it. And so I have two samples to share with you guys, and this second one right here is the one that I will be doing the tutorial part on. And so here is the first one that I created, and I used this paper pad that I had in my stash for a long time, and it's from Momenta, and I'm not quite sure even where I picked it up, but it had cut aparts in it, and it had some various pretty kind of vintage style paper in it, and so that's what I created this first one with. And I don't think I can get the whole thing on camera, so I'm just gonna have to show you pieces, but basically this flips up, and then when you open it, this flips down, and then it reveals your window envelope right here. And so I'm just gonna hold it up so you guys can check out the top, and I created a cute little pocket for a journal card on this top part of this one. And so again, then this one will flip up. And then on the top part, I just layered on a piece of that scrapbooking paper. There was a lot of kind of negative space on here that was neutral enough that you'd be able to journal on. So I just left it as is because I figured you could still kind of journal around the bird on that one. And then the flap that flaps down, again, I just layered on one of the pieces of the scrapbooking paper, added a tab, and one of the punch-out butterflies. Again, there was a lot of space on here that it was light enough to journal on, so I just left it because I like to have space in my junk journal elements that you can actually use for journaling. And so then, again, this would flip down. And so on the flip down part, I just created a pocket. And since my window envelopes right here were quite a bit longer, and I cut it down in the middle, I did have this little piece that I had cut off the bottom, and so I did use that to create a pocket at the very bottom of this flip down. I made a little tuck spot right there, and then it is a double pocket, so then I had a tag in the front part of the pocket and then also the back part of the pocket. And then here is the actual window envelope part of it, and I just did some basic decorating on this. I added a little piece right here that said "Let your dreams take flight," and I added a little postcard that you can journal on. And then you can see the window envelope right here, and it says "I love you because." And then that was what I put on my journal card. I like to always have something fun behind my window envelopes, and even again you can see behind here I had another piece of that cut aparts from that paper collection that fit behind this window envelope, just so you'd have something fun to look at when you pull out the journal card. And so that was my journal card. It's really basic. I just used some of the scrapbooking paper. This piece right here came from that piece up here. It was just part of that paper that I had cut down. And I added another one of those little elements that it just fit perfect behind the window. So I thought that was perfect for behind there. So again, that was the first one that I wanted to share with you guys. And again, this is the one that I'm going to do in the tutorial. I'm not going to go over the paper and everything that I use because I talk about that in the actual tutorial. I'm just going to kind of show you what it looks like. And it's still a little, I need to put it, I just finished creating this, so I need to put a book over it and let it sit overnight. But I did want to share this with you before I added in the tutorial part of this video. But this one, I still have to create some elements, and so I just grabbed a quick index card in my stash. But on the front of this flip up, I created a double belly band. So there is a belly band right here, and then also a belly band right here. And I'll just hold it up close so you can kind of check out that belly band and how I decorated it. And this one is in an Alice in Wonderland theme. And then again, this will flip up. And on this page right here, I added just some scrapbooking paper that looks like lined paper. I added a little sticker on the side. Up at the top, I added the words Alice in Wonderland and the tab. And if you guys watch the tutorial part, I talked about gluing this down and then I didn't do it. And as I was cleaning my desk to get ready for this portion of the video, I realized I had forgotten to glue that down. So just know that I didn't miss it. But you guys will not see that in the tutorial part. But I did do it now right before I started filming. So that's the top part. And again, that gives you a ton of space to journal on, which I love. And then again, that part flipped up. So this part's the part that flips down. And I just wanted to show you what that part looked like. And so here I just added a little element that I made a tuck spot. To me, this little girl looked like Alice in Wonderland. And so that's why I had used her. And I made a quick little tag to stick behind there. There's also a tab right up here to help encourage you to remember to flip down. And then I added a little teacup sticker at the bottom right there, which you can kind of see when this is closed, which is why I added that there. So again, then this part is the part that flips down. And I have a pocket right here. Very similar to the last one that I decorated up, and I added a couple of quick tags to it. They still need more decoration, but I just wanted to stick something in the pockets for the video and while I was doing the tutorial. And so that's the pocket area, and then here is the actual window envelope spot. And I created a quick little tuck spot right there, and again I stuck a couple of basic tags in there. And also I have some Alice in Wonderland words like rabbit hole, knave of hearts, cards on here. And then I had this little banner sticker that I also stuck right there. And then I'll hold this up close so you can kind of check out what I put behind the window envelope. I thought that was kind of cool. There's a hat from like the Mad Hatter, the chessboard, and there's some clocks and stuff there. And so that's the journal card. And it was just a scrapbooking piece of paper that had Alice in Wonderland stuff on it that I used. And then on the back side, I just stuck more of that lined paper with the leftover piece of this, just as a little bit extra visual element on it. But again, that gives you this whole side of the paper to journal on. And you could still journal around parts of this too if you wanted to. But I just loved how this looked in the window envelope part. And then also when you see this window envelope right here, the opening back here is actually a book page from Alice in Wonderland. Back there is what you see. So you will see the word Alice, and you see the word Red Queen on there too. So you know that it's Alice in Wonderland paper. And then real quick before I started the tutorial part of this video, I did want to show you how I would use this in a journal. And I am slowly working on an Alice in Wonderland journal. So whenever I'm trying out new ideas on videos that I've watched on YouTube or working on this envelope series, I'm going to be probably making at least one piece that has Alice in Wonderland on it, just so I'd have some pieces to use in my journal. But here's a page that I had already completed for my journal. Alice in Wonderland journal. And so if this was the blank page, what I would go ahead and do is I would glue this down, and you can either, you know, put it towards the left or the right or in the middle. I'd probably put it in the middle, and this just fits my page. And you have a choice of if you want to make it into another side tuck, you could definitely do that. Or if you wanted to make a long tag to put in the top, you could also do that. So there's, you know, another added element to it besides the fact that it would then actually flip up and flip down in your journal. And again, I apologize, I can't get it all on camera. So, but I just wanted to show you how I would use it. Of course, if you wanted to also, if you didn't want to glue it down, you could just use it as a floating pocket, and you could use a paper clip just to paper clip it to the side somehow or on top. You could make a fun little paper clip to add to it. You could do that too. But you would have to decorate the backside. I know I'm going to use this as a glue down piece in my journal, so I did not decorate the backside. So if you did want to make it into a floating pocket, you would definitely want to cover up your bits and pieces and the little envelope on the backside if you wanted to use it with a paper clip instead. So if you are interested in seeing how I constructed this flip up, flip down, stay tuned for the rest of the video. So again, today we are creating a flip up, flip down with a window envelope behind them for our journals. And I'm just going to show you guys the basic template we're working from. And this also is for those of you who like just the idea but don't really care to watch all of the decorating part of it. So basically what you're going to need is 2 pieces of paper that you will be using as your flips. So this flips up and this flips down. And then you will house your window envelope behind those 2 flips. So that's kind of the basic construction of how to put one of these together. And if you want to do one with me, that would be awesome. And so again, I'm using envelopes that measure 8 5/8 by 3 5/8, but I think you could alter this idea to a number of different envelopes and sizes. And so we just need 1 envelope today. And so to start with, you are going to cut it down to size. And this can vary depending upon what size your journal is or what you're making your creation for. And for me, usually my journal pages are under 8 inches. So usually I try to plan my stuff out so that they'll fit inside of a page. This one that I created as my template's a little bit too big for me. This one did end up being 8 inches, but I wanted to make it slightly smaller. So the one that we're going to be doing together today is going to be a little bit smaller. So I am going to first start off with cutting down my window envelope. And the first thing I'm going to do, and this one is open. You could do this if you wanted with a closed envelope, it'll work, but it'll be easier to decorate the inside if it's open. So I'm going to leave this one open. And the first thing that we are going to do is I'm just going to open up the very top. So I'm just going to trim off a very sliver off of the very top of my project today. And then for this one, I do want my whole window to show, and then I want a little bit extra below it. And so I think I'm going to cut this one then, once I've cut off the sliver on the top, I'm going to cut this one at 6.5 inches. And so now this little offcut right here, we're going to save this and use it in the project, so don't throw this away. If you want to go ahead and seal it up right away, you can do that. We're going to make a pocket on our envelope with this. So like I said, save that. So just set it aside somewhere. And so now here is approximately what you have left after we've cut down the envelope. And then the next thing that I like to do is to cut my flaps. And again, this has some different wiggle room. You can do different sizes. Again, here's the template that we're working from. So we need to create this piece and this piece down here. If you want to follow along with me, I have 2 pieces that I've already pre-cut. And this particular one is 8 inches long. And that I'm going to use this as my top flap. And the bottom one is 7 inches, so it's an inch smaller. And if you want to go ahead and score them right away just so they're ready to go, you can do that too. And so basically what I'm trying to accomplish is I want this one up at the top, so the 8-inch one, I want up here, and I recommend having a little bit of an extra spot right here, just so that when you tuck something in here, it's going to be easy to open. And then this bottom one's going to be down at the bottom, so for your flip up and flip down. And so if you want to do exactly like I'm doing, here's the measurements that I use. So I laid out my 8-inch piece of paper on my scoreboard. And then from this end, I'm going to cut 1.5 inches from the end. So if you laid it out like this, it's at 6.5 if you have the same type of scoreboard. And then you fold it. And then the bottom flap, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line it up. And this one's at 7 inches, but I'm going to go ahead and cut an inch from the end. So you're going to cut it at, or score, not cut it. Sorry, ladies. You're going to score it at 6 inches. So I went ahead and did that also. The next thing that I like to do before I attach my flaps is I like to at least put my base paper down and do some decorating on my window envelope. And so I have another one that I've already kind of started here to share with you guys. So this one again opens up exactly the same. And the first thing that I did on this one is because I like to have something behind my window envelope when I pull out my tag or my journal card. And for this one I chose to glue down a piece of book page, and this is an Alice in Wonderland page from one of her books. And so I do that right now because it's open and it's easy to do. And then the next step is I have had a couple of questions from people that are just starting new with the series, and they were wondering how I made my templates, because I usually like to use a template and then place my paper over the envelope for decorating. You can do collage work, which we've done a few times. And if you want your whole sheet of paper to look the same and have your window envelope showing, what I like to do is I will take the exact same envelope, and I've already cut it down the same, and I took out the plastic piece in the middle. You can see that I've done that. And I will line it up. And what I like to do is to try and put it kind of in the middle of the paper, because it's easier to cut down and make it fit here. So I don't cut this piece of paper the exact size right away. So hopefully that makes sense. If you're good with being exact and measurements, you can of course do that, but I usually take a piece of paper, and usually I like it to be a little bit longer even than this piece. This one's just going to fit just right, I think, on here. And if we have a little bit of border showing, I will just use some paper scraps to cover that up. Usually I like it a little bit longer, and then I can cut it down, but I really wanted to use this piece of paper, and it was a 6x6 piece of paper. So so then once you've traced your envelope opening, you're going to go ahead and cut it out. Sometimes I like to just poke a little hole with like a pin and then carefully cut it out with the scissors, but I don't have any little pins sitting here. So we're going to go ahead and use an X-Acto knife today. And for those of you guys that have already done this, you can fast forward. I just had a couple of questions from a couple of ladies about how I do this, so that's why I'm showing this part again on this video. And so what I'm going to basically do is cut around this opening. And what I like to do is, you can see the pencil line, is I like to actually make it slightly smaller. So I always cut inside my lines. And so basically what I just did is I cut 2 straight lines, and then I like to use the scissors for the rest of it. It's just easier for me than using the X-Acto knife. But you can see where my lines were and where I actually cut. And so I'm going to do the same thing with the scissors, is I'm just going to slightly cut inside of my pencil lines, and I'm just going to hook these 2 up together. And so if you want, you can save this, and they make kind of cute little tags, and usually I will just try and clean up the edges and make them look a little bit nicer, whether I use like a little bit of a punch or something on these. But I do save these pieces for later, or else they make really nice, like if you type up a sentiment, they make really nice like little labels too. So you can save your insides if you cut them out nicely. And the next thing I do is I do try to clean up just a little bit if I don't like how it looks. And so that's what we are left with, is a little opening on our paper. So next I'm going to go ahead and attach it to my envelope. And what's nice now is it should, in theory, you should just be able to attach it just like that, and it should cover it. And then we can cut it down to size. So I'm going to go ahead and take a glue stick. And then also I recommend, if you are inking your edges, to go ahead and ink this edge right around here right now. It makes life easier. I'm not doing inked edges in this journal that I'm working on, this Alice in Wonderland themed one. So I'm not going to ink my edges. So now your next step then is to go ahead and trim off the excess paper that you don't need. And you can use your scissors, or sometimes I very carefully recut. And the biggest thing you want to do is make sure you're not cutting your envelope. Otherwise you'll have to re-glue it. But if you do accidentally end up cutting your envelope, you can always glue it again. So just be careful about that when you're cutting off the edges. And so I did end up with a little bit of white showing up here. And so I'm just going to trim that off. So now my envelope here will be slightly smaller than 6.5 inches, but that's okay. Instead of trying to cover it up with another piece of paper, I'm going to find it easier just to trim it off. And so that's what we have currently. And so the next step is, if you want to create a notch in your top of your envelope, now would be a good time to do it. And so I just do a notch using a circle punch. And what I've done, just to kind of give you a little tip and trick, I guess, is I've already gone ahead on some of my punches and I've made little black lines. And that just kind of shows me where I like my notches to be. I kept on making them too big. If you see in my sample one right here, look at how that looks, and I don't like how that notch looks. It's too big. So I started marking with a little marker on my circle punches so that I line them up better. So then I can go ahead and line the edge up with that one, because this punch is just too hard to try and punch that way. And so that's what we have so far. If you want to do something different up here, like cut another piece of circle or something in a different color, and why don't we do that right now together? Let me find a scrap piece of paper that's going to match. So if you want, like I said, to decorate the inside there, I'm just going to cut out a scrap piece of black that I have. So I cut out a circle. So that just gives it a little bit more visual interest when you have the tag or your journal card taken out. And so then the next step that I like to do is I like to go ahead and I will put some glue around the edges and glue this shut. If you want, you could just cut off the envelope flap, or in this case I'm just going to seal it back up. I'm just going to use some glue stick for that. It just adds a little bit more durability to it, so that's why I leave it on. And so now you should have kind of a basic envelope pocket. So your next step then is to go ahead and attach your flaps. And again, the longer one is going to be, so your bigger piece is going to be on the top. And again, the biggest thing is you do want to leave a little gap up here so that when you're sliding in your journal card or your tag, it's a little bit easier. And also, if you want, you can decorate this before you glue it down. And the only thing I'm going to add before I glue it down is, because I don't want this space white, is I'm going to go ahead and glue down some coordinating paper that matches the front of this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue my flap down. I'm just going to glue maybe approximately a 1/2 inch or less right down here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the edge. And I like to use a little bit of paper clips just to hold it down while it's drying. Okay, then the next step while this one is drying, and just do a double check to make sure that it's even, is to go ahead and glue your bottom flap down. And this one you can glue it right up to the fold. You still want it to be able to fold over. So just glue it slightly inside of your fold line, and that will be your bottom flap. And that should just take about a minute to dry or so. And then the next step is you're going to want to start decorating your flaps. And since this one was just single-sided paper, I do want something on the inside of this one, so I'll start there. And I'm just going to show you guys what I'm going to do, and then I'll glue it off camera. But I already cut down a piece of scrapbooking paper that had lines on it. And I want an extra journaling spot on my flap so that when it flips up, you would have this to journal on. So I am going to glue this down. I also have this border strip. It's a scrapbooking border strip right here from K & Company. It just has some flowers and it's a teal color. And I thought that would look nice just as a little decorative element. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down also on the side. And then the only other thing I'm going to do is I do have this edge of a paper from a 12 by 12 paper that came from Echo Paper Company, and it does have the name Alice in Wonderland because it was some Alice in Wonderland paper. And so I thought that would be fun to cut that down and glue just the word Alice in Wonderland up at the top. So I'm going to also do that. So I did finish gluing that top piece of paper down with a little decorative element, and this little border strip actually ended up being a sticker. And so what I did is I actually added a little bit of glue behind the sticker. I don't trust stickers in my journals to hold long term, so I usually add a little bit of glue. And so then now this is what we're left with. I did take off the paper clips, and I did create a quick journal card also. I had this half piece of scrapbooking paper, and I loved it for the fact that when you stick it in here as a journal card, you can see this element right here with the watch and the little checkerboard thing. And so I decided to use that as my inside journal card or tag. And it's just really basic. I just glued down the half piece of scrapbooking paper. And then on the back side, because I then also added another strip of this scrapbooking paper with the lines, and I still had a bit of that sticker left, so I went ahead and added that there just as a little bit of an extra visual element to it. And so I'm going to use that as my journal card. And since we're on the inside, we might as well finish decorating the bottom flap that flips down, and then also this part if you want, before we do the front. And so I pulled out a couple of things from my stash. And the first thing that I have is this element right here. And I believe this one came from this Kaiser Craft, the Looking Glass paper pad. There was some punch outs in the back of this one. And so I just thought I would glue this down kind of as a tuck spot, and then you can stick a tag in there. So that was the one thing that I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. If you want to just glue down some collage elements, you can do that too, but I always like to add extra pieces just whenever I can add a little tuck spot or something extra just to give me a little bit more journaling space. And so again, I'll be able to tuck a tag into there. And then this still needs something. And I found I have some Alice in Wonderland stickers from Bo Bunny. And I was thinking, I like these little banner pieces, so I was going to see if I could somehow incorporate a little banner piece, because right here I'll have a tag, so there will be a tag sticking up from there. But I was going to see if I could figure out, like I kind of like this one right here, and so I was kind of visualizing what it might look like if I just put it across my page like this, and I think that's going to work. So I'm going to cut that off. I still might need to trim it a little bit, but that at least gives me something. And again, you can either use some tacky glue or your Scotch glue extra on the back of it. Again, since it's a sticker, I just want to make sure that it's going to be a little more permanent in my journal. I don't know about you guys, but I've had stickers fall out of projects before after a year or two, so I always add the extra little bit of glue on the backs of mine just to give it a chance to be able to stick long term. So I'm going to glue that down right there. And I don't know, I'll probably end up putting some sort of different tag in here once it's actually in my journal. But I just had a couple of these stickers that I glued onto scrapbooking paper. And so for now, I'm just going to stick that in there and just see what I think. And I'm trying to see if there's another sticker that I have that would work. I just want something down this side, I think. I could go with all these little words right here, or just one of these too. I think I'll use part of that sticker. So here is what we have so far. And like I said, I'm not sure I'm going to leave these tags in here or not. If I do, most likely I will probably punch out some holes and add some trim or something to them. But for now, I'm just going to leave that and call that little sector good. Again, that's what it looks like. And there's the top part. So now we're going to go ahead and create this bottom flip right here, and I'm going to decorate the inside. And this is what I was thinking. So earlier I had told you guys to save that offcut of the envelope. We're going to use that, and we're just going to create a quick little pocket down here. And so I did cut out a piece of scrap paper. This came from one of the paper pads that I've been kind of working with. I can't remember. It came from this Bo Bunny one right here, which is called Land of Wonder. And it was just a leftover scrap I had from another piece of Alice in Wonderland ephemera that I was making. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to set this up a little bit out of my way. And I'm going to go ahead and then decorate this real quick. And so I'm going to glue that down. And then I'm also going to create just a small little tuck spot. Here's another little piece of Alice in Wonderland ephemera. I do apologize. I don't know which company this one came from. It was some pieces that I had picked up at a craft rummage sale, and the bag, it was a grab bag, and it had some Alice in Wonderland stuff in it. So I don't know what that one is from. So I did go ahead and glue down that scrapbooking piece of paper, and then I ended up just gluing this down flat and adding just a little bit of eyelash trim to it. And I also went ahead and punched a notch and put a little half circle behind there. And so I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. And so I'm just going to glue it down like a pocket. So I'll put glue around these sides right here. So then I will have this back pocket, plus I will have this front pocket. So it's a double pocket. And then for now, I was thinking, again, I have this quick tag that I made. And there's room for more decorating on it, but I'm just going to leave this for now. And it was part of this scrapbooking paper, the looking glass from Kaiser Craft. I took one half of the sheet and put it on the front, and then the other half of the sheet I put on the back. And it's light enough colored that you could actually journal on it, which is why I like this one. And so that's going to go back here in my pocket if it'll fit. If not, I'll make another tag in there down the road, but we're going to let that dry. And then I had a couple of more of those little sticker tags that I had created, and so those can go in the front pocket. And so now the next step is to decorate the bottom flap that flips down, and then also the top flap. And it's a little bulky right now just because I have those paper clips there. So while those are drying, let's do the top decorating. And I'll show you what I had in mind for that. So again, I had a piece of that scrapbooking paper that I showed you earlier. I put another strip of paper, and then I also glued down the sticker. And I had this element that I created. Again, it was another one of those unknown Alice in Wonderland ephemera pieces that I glued on to a die cut. And so I'm going to put that here, and that again will give me a belly band. And then when I glue it down, if I just glue it down the top and the bottom, it gives me another belly band. So that'll be like a double belly band for that one. So that's what I'm going to do for that piece, for the top flip. And I'm also going to add a tab, and I have a couple that I punched out of some scrap paper here on the side. And so I don't know which one I'm going to use, but I'll add a tab onto the side so that it'll flip open. And then we have this that flips down, and so I'll show you what I was thinking for there. Again, I cut out a piece of scrap paper from scrapbooking paper, and I'm not sure, this one was an older paper that I had. It was like, I want to say it was Bo Bunny, and it had to do with photography, and I had made a card out of it for my husband because he does photography, but I had some leftover scraps, and so I want this side right here. And so I'm going to glue that down. And then I also had this little piece that a friend gave me. She had colored it for me, and I think this looks like Alice in Wonderland. I know. So I'm thinking I'm just going to glue it down at one of the angles, and I'm just going to make it into a tuck spot for another tag. And so I have another little quick tag that I made. And so I'm going to just stick that in there. So I'm going to go ahead and do those items off camera, and then I will be back to show you what it looks like. So I did finish gluing down all of the pieces that we talked about, and I just wanted to kind of show you what the final project looks like. So again, we created a belly band on the front, and I don't have anything currently to stick in there. And so I just grabbed an index card just to show you. So we would have a spot right here to stick something in the belly band, and then also right here to stick in there. And then I added the tab right here on the bottom. And then the only thing I'm debating is because you can see this little bit down here, is if I try and find one more of my stickers maybe to put down here, just for something different. And I think I like these teacups, so I'm going to do that real quick before I finish showing you guys. That'll just give some sort of little visual interest right down here at the very bottom. So I do need to do a little bit of trimming yet on the edges there, but I'm going to let it dry before I monkey with it. So now that's what it looks like in the front, and I like that a little bit better with those teacups across the bottom. So again, we had the belly band, the tab, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this all on frame. So again, this will flip up, and so we'll show the top part. And then here's the flip down that we decorated, or I talked about decorating. And so again, I just added a tab up here at the top. I also layered down a piece of that polka dotted paper, and I created a tuck spot right here with that little girl to create a tag to put in there, or a journal card. If you wanted to, you could have made it a double tuck spot, but I chose just to go ahead and glue that polka dot paper down just because I wanted to make sure that this didn't get too bulky. And so again, this then will flip down. And so here's our bottom flip. Again, we had that pocket that we created, and I stuck the that large tag in there and the two smaller tags that come out. And then in the middle piece where our window envelope is, we had decorated this. There's that tuck spot right here. And you can see the journal card in there, and I had added those extra elements of the stickers. And you can take the journal card out, and then you also have that to journal on the back side. And then on the back side, if you wanted to make it a floating pocket, then your next step would be to go ahead and decorate the back side. But I'm not going to make this a floating pocket, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it as is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial today. And again, I will be back next month with another idea on how to use a window envelope in your journal.